It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Sharp, clever, and just a touch acidic. My Perfect Prose Pursuers, that sentence has been delighting readers for over 2 centuries, and if it isn't the literary equivalent of a mic drop, I don't know what is. I'm Lee Stewart, and welcome to Pursuing Perfect Prose. In this video, we're diving into the opening lines of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, where the prose does more than set the scene, it essentially is the scene. The entirety of Jane Austen's legendary opener. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. However little known the feelings or views of such a man may be on his first entering a neighborhood, this truth is so well fixed in the minds of the surrounding families that he is considered as the rightful property of someone or other of their daughters. I mean, where do we even start? These 2 sentences pack more wit, irony, and commentary than most books manage in their first chapters. It tells you almost everything you need to know about the world you're about to enter. And it all launches off a line so iconic, it's been parodied endlessly. And yet, no imitation comes close to the original. Why? Because every word is doing work. To fully appreciate the literary treasure Austen hath bequeathed us, we'll divide this analysis into 6 sections. First, we'll celebrate what makes the opening line so unforgettable. Going deeper into the line, we'll find character and plot. How does a writer follow such a magnificent sentence? Austen might be a pro, but she does it like the rest of us. No, not with AI. She does it one word at a time. We'll pick apart those follow-up words next. Then, we'll tie how Austen's background might have led her to write this prose. Austen's writing style and why the chosen words matter comes next, before we finish with some final thoughts. Part 1. An iconic opening line. Alright, let's explore the classic opener, starting with the first 6 words. It is a truth universally acknowledged. With this, Austen immediately sets up the irony. She presents the statement as an absolute fact, something everyone agrees on. And FYI to those who didn't pick this up, not everyone thinks this way. This is the assumption of a very specific class of people. You know who you are. To say universally acknowledged is a classic example of free indirect discourse. It sounds so grand. Austen knows exactly what she's doing with this. She's playing with the pompous language of social commentary. It's the voice of a society utterly blind to its own hypocrisy. By framing the statement as a universal truth, Austen is mocking the societal obsession with wealth and marriage while pretending to agree with it. It's practically begging to be read with an arched eyebrow. It is a truth universally acknowledged. See? Now, let's talk about the rhythm of the remainder of this sentence. It's a beautifully balanced triad. Subject, qualifier, conclusion. A single man, that's the subject. The qualifier, in possession of a good fortune, narrows the scope of this subject. Not just any single man is being discussed, it specifically refers to single men who are wealthy. The conclusion, must be in want of a wife, then makes the bold and satirical claim about these qualified individuals. The balance and wit of this sentence hinges on how the qualifier shapes the subject and sets up the humorous, tongue-in-cheek conclusion. Without the qualifier, the sentence loses its elegance and its sharp social commentary. The phrase flows like a well-rehearsed, and not at all boring, waltz, with every beat perfectly timed. To those who knew Austen, it wasn't surprising she was good at this type of prose. Accounts are that she had a razor-sharp wit in real life. Her letters are filled with biting commentary on the absurdities of her world. This paragraph is essentially her humor distilled into literary form. Part 2. Character and plot in the prose. This passage isn't just about society, it's about character and plot too. Austen lays the foundation for the story's central conflicts in one deft move. Take the mother of the novel's protagonist, Mrs. Bennet, for example. She embodies a truth universally acknowledged. Her entire purpose in life is to marry off her daughters to wealthy men, regardless of love, compatibility, or, frankly, dignity. This passage immediately positions her as a satirical foil to her protagonist's daughter, Elizabeth Bennet, who will spend the rest of the novel challenging these very assumptions. Fast fact, Austen originally titled the novel First Impressions. And doesn't this paragraph scream first impressions? It sets the tone for how the characters and readers view wealth, love, and propriety. Part 3. The follow-up sentence. In her follow-up sentence, Austen flips the perspective. However little known the feelings or views of such a man may be on his first entering a neighborhood, however little known suggests uncertainty or absence of knowledge, yet it carries an ironic undertone. The word however implies contrast, setting the stage for Austen's characteristic ironic reversal. The feelings or views. These are internal, subjective qualities. Austen is highlighting that people know nothing about the man's actual intentions or desires, not what he does, says, or is, but what he feels or thinks. Such a man refers back to the single man in possession of a good fortune. The word such keeps the tone slightly distanced, almost mocking the way society generalizes wealthy bachelors. On his first entering a neighborhood suggests that assumptions are made immediately, even before real interactions take place. This clause uses what's called periodic sentence structure. The main idea is delayed, creating a build-up of dependent clauses. The sentence only reaches its conclusion in the second half. By holding off the main point, Austen mirrors the social tension and anticipation that surrounds a new, wealthy male arrival in a village. The syntax mimics the societal rush to judgment, starting with an abstract unknown and ending with the concrete assumption he must be married off to one of us. That's right, she doubles down and goes fully comedic. And because comedy always works better when it's explained, let me elucidate. Instead of focusing on the wealthy bachelor, now she hones in on the eager families who see him as, what was that word again? Oh yeah, property. This line reinforces and complicates the paragraph's thesis that a wealthy single man is automatically viewed as a potential husband. The irony of the second sentence undercuts the universal truth of the first. The truth here refers to a social belief, something accepted as fact regardless of its basis. Calling this a truth highlights how ridiculous and yet deeply ingrained this social custom is. She's mocking the certainty with which people cling to the idea that any wealthy bachelor is fair game for matchmaking. Notice the contrast in tone of this sentence compared to the former. The first sentence is grand and declarative, but the second, slyly and almost conspiratorially, collapses into the mundane reality of someone or other of their daughters. Austen gives us a peek behind the curtain of societal manners, exposing all of its absurdity. Her sentence structure is carefully crafted, long, but perfectly balanced. It mirrors the logic of formal thought while pulling the rug out from under it with a sly twist. Austen's genius lies in her ability to critique social norms without ever sounding strident or preachy. It's all there if you're looking. It's feminism at its subtlest. Part 4. Connections to the themes via the author. Why else is this passage so perfect for Pride and Prejudice? Well, I hope you'll give me your thoughts in the comments, but until then, I'll share mine. It's because it encapsulates the entire novel. The tension between appearances and reality, the biting critique of social norms, the wit, the irony, it's all here. The opening sentence tells you that wealth is a prerequisite for desirability. The second sentence shifts focus to the families, who see marriage as an economic transaction. Austen's choice of words, rightful property and fixed in the minds, shows how deeply ingrained and absurd these ideas are. But it won't all be critique. To come is a celebration of wit, intelligence, and individuality. Austen is setting the stage for Elizabeth Bennet, our sharp-tongued, independent heroine, as a foil to all this nonsense. Her refusal to conform will challenge this entire system. Here are an extra few fast facts about Austen that can provide context to this writing. Jane Austen herself was no stranger to societal expectations. As the seventh of 8 children, she lived in a world where marriage was often seen as a woman's only viable future. Thankfully, in modern times, we now recognize this as nonsense. Women can have very bright futures as cooks, cleaners, or babysitters. Irony. Austen, however, never married, and her refusal to read the script she was expected to follow undoubtedly shaped her sharp-eyed view of the world. Part 5. Writing style and language. Let's circle back to Austen's prose. What else makes it so impactful? First, there's the precision. Austen doesn't waste a single word. Look again at the phrase rightful property. It's so loaded with meaning. An exaggeration, yes, and in this case, labeling a man so. Austen is employing irony to comment on the commodification of both genders within the marriage market of her time. She exposes how societal pressures dehumanize individuals of both genders. Wealthy men are reduced to mere assets to be acquired by ambitious families, while daughters are presented as the vehicles through which these acquisitions are made. The idea that a man can be claimed or owned in such a way mirrors the real powerlessness that many women faced, as their futures often depended entirely on marrying well. Wealthy men became prizes to be claimed, and women, as aforementioned, were positioned as instruments in the acquisition. It's a clever inversion of societal norms that highlights the absurdity of treating human relationships as transactions. And let's not downplay the irony. Austen's use of it isn't just clever, it's surgical. She delivers her critique with a velvet glove, but the dagger beneath it is razor sharp. You don't just read Austen, you spar with her. She also wrote Pride and Prejudice in her 20s, during a time when her own family faced financial uncertainty. Her observations of wealth and social climbing weren't hypothetical, they were her reality. That's why this paragraph feels so authentic. It's drawn from experience. Here's another fast fact, and if you watch more of the videos on this channel, you'll start to see a trend with the authors we're discussing. Austen revised this opening line multiple times. In an early draft, it read, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man of large fortune is always in want of a wife." Don't see any significant difference? Firstly, of large fortune lacks the rhythmic grace of in possession of a good fortune. And secondly, is always in want of a wife doesn't carry the same punch as must be in want of a wife. Austen's final word choice of must is firmer, more declarative, and with less wiggle room. You get the distinction now, right? Words matter. Part 6. Final thoughts. So, my perfect prose pursuers, is this passage perfect prose? It's hard to argue otherwise. Though naturally, because this is social media, I'm sure people will. And you know where to do it. My position is that this paragraph does a bunch of things right. It doesn't just introduce the story, it is the story. And one you should read. The novel is a witty, romantic exploration of love, class, and personal growth, centered on the spirited Elizabeth Bennet and her evolving relationship with the proud, yet honorable, Mr. Darcy. You get a foot into that world via this incisive and endlessly quotable opening. But is it the literary gold standard? Or does perfection lie elsewhere? Then again, perhaps perfection is impossible. The pursuit, however, is where the fun is. Read on!